Members, just some housekeeping rules in terms of your mobile phones. It's not suffice to have them on standby, as sometimes they interfere with hands out, but most of our session today will be in a closed session. Members, the minutes of yesterday's meeting, the meeting of the 3rd of February, are being tabled, so you have them in front of you. If members wish to take some time to review the minutes, and then if you are content with those minutes, I'll sign them into the public record. Members content with the minutes of yesterday's meeting? Agreed. Okay. Members, agenda item 3, correspondence. We have no new correspondence tabled today. Agenda item 4, under matters arising, we have correspondence from Mr James McKeown. Kieran, I'd like to invite your team to the table. You're very welcome today. Members, at page 7 of your electronic packs, you'll find further correspondence from Mr James McKeown regarding Presbyterian Mutual Society in reply to the committee's letter of the 11th of December 2014. Mr McKeown is writing to express his disappointment that the committee and the Audit Office have not, in his view, adequately addressed his concerns over the treatment of £25 million in financial assistance given to the Society. Kieran, do you want to comment on the matter?
I declare an interest in my parents.
Okay, Mr Biggs, declare an interest.
Chair, I've very little to add to what I've said previously on this. My remit doesn't extend to the audit of the Society's accounts, and I'm perfectly happy that the way this issue has been dealt with in DETI's accounts is totally appropriate. So I don't think there are any further matters that, further issues that are within my remit to explore.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Kieran.
Chairperson, I don't want to broaden out the discussion, but having had a background of more than 30 years in the credit union movement, I would be absolutely astonished if something like that had happened there, and there wasn't a very extensive effort to explain how it happened and what was the outcomes for the people who were directly involved in it. And I'm not suggesting criminality or anything like that, but it's my opinion that something was badly wrong, and a lot of really decent people who had invested money in that organisation lost out, and this Assembly consequently paid extremely heavily for it. So while the Controller and Auditor General is not, I understand he hasn't direct control, it was ordinary decent people who suffered, and it was the taxpayers who paid the bill. And yet, to this day, I have no idea what the outcomes were of those who were involved.
Yeah. Chair, where we do have an interest, I think it was the narrow ground I was speaking there about, just on issues around the Society's accounts. The bigger issue is how the public interest is protected as we move along, and that the taxpayer will get a return on the subvention, and that is something we're actively monitoring. So from the taxpayer's point of view, yes, we'll continue to look at that.
Okay, thank you, Kieran. I suppose maybe just to say further, obviously Mr McKeown has devoted a lot of time and energy into writing to the committee, and I suppose he feels that he is disappointed in the outcome. But members, if you're content that the committee writes to Mr McKeown to inform him that we have made an inquiry with the Audit Office, but they have confirmed to us that they have no remit over the Presbyterian Mutual Society's accounts. And I think the core of the letter will also inform Mr McKeown that the committee feels that it has now taken his query as far as we can. Would our members content that we deliver that information back to Mr McKeown?
The only thing I would add to that, Chair, if there are any concerns about the Society's account, there are other mechanisms through which those could be pursued.
Yeah. Okay, we can put that there. Okay, members, thank you. Members, we also have correspondence from Mr. David Lavery regarding the Courts and Tribunal Service Trust Statement 2012-2013, which is at page 12 of your electronic packs. You will find the correspondence from Mr. Lavery. Members, this information is to note only, so are we content to note this correspondence? Yeah. Okay, members, are we agreed with Mr. Lavery's correspondence, which is at page 12?
Noted.
Okay, thank you. Members, agenda item 5, or inquiry into the DSD advanced land purchases. With us today we have Kieran, his team, Thomas Wilkinson and Brian O'Neill and Richard Emerson. These are very welcome, Thomas and Brian. Members, at page 14 to 48 of your packs, you'll find a copy of the briefing paper from the Audit Office in relation to the advanced land purchases. And on pages 49 to 84, you will find a copy of a report produced by the Department of Social Development on the same issue. And on pages 85 to 237, you will find a copy of an evidence submission from a whistleblower.
Right, that'll be worth reading.
Kieran, do you like to?
Thank you very much, Chair. This will be an unusual session, and you've already indicated a variety of different sources of information. The starting point, I suppose, is my own reports on the Department of Social Development accounts. Over the past, for each of the past 5 years, I've chosen to do a long-form report on the regulation of housing associations, and so those reports are in your pack. The housing association sector does receive substantial grant funding from DSD to develop new housing. These grants typically average in excess of about £100 million a year. The housing associations are registered as charities, not part of central government, although they rely on the public sector for a large part of their funding. Because they are outside central government, the associations are able to leverage grant funding from the department to raise bank loans to increase the amount of money that can be used to develop social housing. And typically DSD grants provide the funding for around half the cost of housing association development, with the balance being made up of private sector funding. Going back to the early 2000s, we in the Audit Office were concerned that the regulation of housing associations who were spending large amounts of public money was inadequate. And as a result, at that time, the audit opinion on the accounts was qualified for a number of years up to 2004, when the department established a new regulation and inspection unit, which began a programme of inspection. The first inspection programme began in 05-06 and ran for 4 years. And at that time, out of 33 associations inspected, 14 or 42% were judged to have unacceptable performance overall, with a further 7 being unacceptable in at least one area. The second round of inspection began in 10-11 and initially found similar results, with 9 associations being suspended from taking part in the development of new housing. The most significant of those was Pelham Housing Association, which had significant failings, which we'll touch on later. However, I think it's fair to say that there has been significant improvement in recent years in the governance of associations, and credit for this improvement is due to the work of the inspection unit in identifying issues and promoting good practice. As a result, currently out of 27 associations, only three remain suspended from development, and these are all very small associations. Today, I think the issues we want to cover are the general oversight of the sector by the department, and as I've said, that's a much better news story now than it was 3 or 4 years ago. Second, the operation of the Advanced Land Purchase Grant Scheme and how that's working out in practice. The issue of delays in recovering Advanced Land Purchase Grant in 2 cases, one from Helm and the other from Trinity. And finally, the handling of a potential conflict of interest involving Trinity.
Okay, thank you, Kieran. Members, can I get an agreement to go into closed session for further discussion? Agreed? Okay, thank you.
This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 29.